Psalm 23, reading today. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me by the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guides me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk in the shadow of the valley of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table in the midst of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
A number of weeks ago, my family and we went to our most favorite place on earth, Ikea. We love going to Ikea, and the reason we went there this time was actually to have breakfast. Now, we had been wanting to have breakfast in Ikea for quite a while, and we finally had the time to go there and to have breakfast in Ikea, just to be there in time in the morning to have breakfast. But while we were there, we also took the opportunity to window shop in Ikea. That's another thing that we love in Ikea, window shopping. We don't necessarily buy anything. We just like to go around the store and look at all the furniture and get inspiration for our house, I suppose. And while we were there, as we were walking around the store, we made a shocking discovery. It is already Christmas in Ikea. And what I mean with that is that they were already selling Christmas decorations in Ikea. Indeed, friends, nowadays there are more and more people who would like to have Christmas earlier than usual. And I think these people, they just would like to prolong their experience of Christmas. They want to extend the season of Christmas to make it longer. I know some people who decorate their Christmas tree long before December. And maybe you are one of those people. There's something about Christmas, isn't it? Or some things about Christmas that makes us long for it. Is it the present? Is it the decoration? Well, I think they are parts of it, but I believe there is another reason, something deeper, something intangible, something that we cannot touch, that we cannot see, that is the reason behind why we love Christmas, or most people love Christmas so much. When I was a kid, our family had a tradition, a Christmas tradition, on the Christmas Eve. On the Christmas Eve, every year, we used to walk to our church just around the corner, a few streets away from where we lived, and we would attend the Christmas midnight service in that church. And I still remember as a child, I was looking forward to that. It gave me that tingling sensation. So I think that experience that I had when I was small with my family, it gives me the clue why we love Christmas so much. And for me at least, Christmas reminds me of what it means to be in a family, what it means for our family to become family. It reminds me of how it feels to belong, to love and to be loved, and to be completely lost in that loving sensation. So Christmas reminds me of how it feels to be home. Now this theme of being home is being many Christmas movies, popular Christmas movies, that touch on this issue of being home. Let's take, for example, the legendary Home Alone, starring the child actor Macaulay Culkin. And this movie, it's always on the top list of the most watched Christmas movie of all time. It is so popular. And I still remember watching this movie when I was around 8 years old at the time. I was about the same age with Macaulay Culkin himself. And I was laughing myself silly watching this movie. It was such a good movie. It was so funny. And even now, when I watch the movie again, after I watched it so many times, I still love it. I still enjoy it. But the reason why so many people love this movie, I don't think it's only because of the funny scenes. I mean, they are very funny and the slapsticks are so good. But there's another reason. And that reason, I think, because people can relate to the main character of the movie. The 8-year-old Kevin, who is left behind, home alone, by his family, who by accident leave him behind to go on a vacation. So the movie in the end is a story about a boy who longs for his family, who longs for the people amongst whom he feels loved, he feels known. Now, Kevin hates his family. He is bullied by his brothers and sisters. He is the youngest in the family. But when he is separated from his family, he realizes that he actually loves them. So the movie in the end is a story about a boy searching for home, a boy who is longing for home. I had a similar experience when I was 19 years old, and I had to leave my family for the very first time to go to another city to study theology, to go to a seminary. And I still remember, friends, that for the first 6 months at least, I was really homesick. I wanted to go home. And I couldn't wait for the semester breaks when I could go and visit my family and stay for a few weeks with them. In those moments, in those months, I simply forgot all the fights and the quarrels that we used to have in our family. In those months, when I was separated from my family, I missed them. I would like to go to them and to be reunited with them. So there it is. I think the reason why we love Christmas so much, because it reminds us of what it feels to be home. And we long for that place. We all look for that place. We want to catch a glimpse of home. This idea of going home or being home has also captured the imagination of poets and storytellers for millennia. One of the most influential ancient literatures is the Greek novel by Homer, The Odyssey. It tells the story of Odysseus, a Greek hero in the Trojan War, on his way to go home. And along the way, he faces many challenges and problems and obstacles, and he faces all of that until he finally is home with his beloved. Indeed, friends, life can often be described by this quotation at the end of the action-packed Oscar-winning movie, Mad Max. Where must we go, we who wander this wasteland in search of our better selves? This is quite similar with what T.S. Eliot, the famous English-American poet, who said, "The end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the very first time." So life, in the eyes of these poets and storytellers, is a grand journey of going home. That is why Psalm 23 is such a popular psalm in the Bible. It is the most popular psalm in the Bible, if not the most popular chapter in the Bible. And it is so popular because it touches on this issue of going home, of being home. Now, in the psalm, we are like the sheep. We are lost, wandering around without a shepherd. But luckily for us, we do have a shepherd. God is our shepherd. God guides us. God nurtures us. In God, we can rest our soul. God is our home. And this is beautifully depicted or described by one of the church fathers, St. Augustine of Hippo, when he wrote in his book Confessions, "You have made us for yourself, O Lord, and our heart is restless until it rests in you." God is our home, our ultimate home. Of course, our family can be home. It can be a safe place for us. Just about a few weeks ago, I took my child, my oldest son, Abia, to go to the daycare for the very first time. And as you can expect, friends, he cried out loud when we left him there. He must have thought that we were going to leave him forever. It broke our heart. It was really hard to leave him like that. But he was experiencing what we now know as the separation anxiety. It's a normal reaction that a toddler has when he or she is left behind by his or her primary carer, like the parent. So he cried for about 5 or 10 minutes, and then he was fine. But when we picked him up again in the afternoon, he cried again. But the teacher said it was fine. It was actually a happy reaction than a sad reaction. Because without us, he was being left alone in this unfamiliar territory. And when he found us, he found his home again. But family can be broken, as many of you would know. The community that we have here on earth, the family that we have here on earth, is only a reflection of our ultimate home in God. And that reflection can be broken, it can be blurred. Yet we still long for that place, a place that we call home. Psalm 23 testifies that God is that place. We find God, we find home when we find God. We are home when we are with God. Isaac Watts, he was an English minister and a prolific hymn writer. He captured this beautifully in his rendition of Psalm 23. He said, "The sure provisions of my God attend me all days. Oh, may your house be my abode, and all my work be praised. There would I find a settled rest, while others go and come, no more a stranger or a guest, but like a child at home." That is why Psalm 23 is such a popular psalm to be read during funerals or on people's dying bed, because it reminds us that death is not something to be feared of. Death is a final journey to go home, to be with God. And it is possible because at the heart of Psalm 23 is the statement that Jim Smeaton, one of the members of our church, read it beautifully. He said, "Thou art with me. You are with me." That is the heart of Psalm 23. It is right at the center of the psalm. Because if you read the Hebrew version of Psalm 23, there are 26 words before that statement and 26 words after that statement. And that statement reminds us of the Christian conviction, Emmanuel, God with us. And on his dying bed, the words of John Wesley were this: "The best of all is that God is with us." But we don't have to wait until we die to experience God as our home. We can find home in God here on earth. Because if God is with us, then God is with us when we die, but also when we live. So God is our home. Our longing for home is our longing for God, for intimacy with God. Our quest to find home is our quest to find God. God is at the end of our journey. Let us continue our journey knowing for sure that God is waiting at the end of the line, at the finish line. Amen.